Okay, so today we're going to be going on and looking at learning plan number 4. And learning plan number 4 is going to be specifically on Revolve. Now, I already assigned for you to watch the lecture video for chapter 5, which is the Revolve, okay? And that kind of gets you introduced to the Revolve command. And we also demo the first tutorial, which is part of your homework, okay? There's a second tutorial in the chapter that you also are assigned for your homework. So the tutorial portion, there's 2 tutorials for the homework. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into looking at the early homework problems, okay? So so make sure that you get the 2 tutorials, and here's the Dropbox for those. Those are to be handed in and graded. And then here are the drawings. So I'm going to start here. Now, just a reminder, you do need to use the handout here for the homework. Do not do the end of chapter questions because they don't correspond here, okay? So if you click on here, this is going to be the handout that you use. Now, I did pull out just the problems from the end of the chapter. So here you have, I think there's 6 problems that we're going to be doing. So 5.2, 5.4, 5.5, 5.6, 5.7, and then 5.11. Okay, so I'm going to start by kind of getting you going and explaining problem 5.2, which is going to be Revolve, and then just kind of going through again, reinforcing the things that we need to know and understand for that Revolve command. So I actually have this underneath my camera. So we're going to kind of be back and forth under my camera. So I'm gonna close this handout here, but that's for your reference. And then I am going to open up, and I already have open up Creo. So I have a fresh session here. The only thing that I do need to do, I think I might have done it now, I'm not remembering. I do need to select, I'm going to verify. I'm going to select my working directory. So I'm going to click on my working directory here, and I'm going to look at my path. Oh, yes, I do. I have it all set up for myself. So I am good to go. All right, cool. But that's what you want to do. You want to open up a fresh session. You want to get your working directory all set up where you've been using it up to this point. And now we're ready to start a new part. So I'm going to go new part. And this is going to be called tapered axle. And then okay. All right, now, instead of going in and either doing sketch or extrude, we're actually going to go into the Revolve command because that's what we're expecting. We're kind of looking at the part, and that's what we're going to do. And maybe I should look at the part. I'm assuming that we all know, since we're in the Revolve command, let's kind of look at why we're going to use Revolve here. So we're looking at this part right here, and how we're going to do this is you're going to notice that there's a center line. And everything above and below the center line is symmetrical. So we can create like half of our cross section and then revolve it around the center line. Okay. You'll also notice that there's another axis of symmetry here. It's kind of like down the middle here. It's the same on both sides. So I'm going to also show you how to use the mirror command for this as well. Okay, the mirror command as well. So as we look here, I'm gonna minimize this. I'm going to go into the Revolve command, and then I'm going to define where I'm starting. And this is going to be on the front plane. And I'm going to hit sketch. Now it automatically, puts that sketch plane parallel to my screen here. So I'm looking straight on. If you don't have that set up, we did that way back in the beginning, but otherwise you can click this command right here called sketch view, and it would do the same thing. So if you have things kind of still at an angle, and you hit the sketch view, you're all set. It'll do exactly this. Now I'm going to zoom. As we know, I think it's metric units that it kind of sets up with. So, I know that I'm going to be in English units here. So I'm going to kind of zoom in. And I know I'm going to do a revolve. And I'm going to do it over this horizontal center line. So I need to set it up as a center line. Now there are 2 center lines here. One is over here by the datum. That's the center line I want. There's also another center line over here. Don't use that one. That one's in the sketching mode. So I want the datum center line here. I'm going to click on that. And I'm just going to click once, click twice, middle mouse button, and I'm good. Okay, so click, click, and then middle mouse button to kind of activate it. Now you can see it right here, all right? It's got that green over the top, and then if I would zoom out, I would see it as a center line. But I'm gonna stay zoomed in here, and now I'm gonna start my profile for what I'm gonna revolve. So I'm gonna start it right here at my origin, go over, kind of at an angle here, like this. And I'm gonna resist like doing things that are equal or parallel because none of it is. And then I'm gonna click middle mouse button. Make sure that you close it at the bottom because we do need a closed area that it can do the revolve around. Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of look here at, oh, I'm way zoomed in. That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. All right, so I'm going to kind of start here by looking at some of the things that I need here. So first and foremost, this width is going to be half of 1, so it's going to be 0.5. Enter. Then this part, this goes along. Sometimes you got to kind of play with this a little bit. This is going to be, whoopsie, 3 inches. Enter. So that's there. Oh. See, I do this because of SolidWorks. So I've got to kind of do my sketch mode again. I'm going to do this outside diameter. This is going to be 4 inches. Notice something about the dimension here. Okay, I'm going to show you. Notice that the dimension goes to like the other side, kind of like there's something there, but there's really not. That's because I identified that as a center. So it knows that everything's going to be revolved around that center. So this becomes a diameter, okay? That's my 1/2 inch. All right, okay. Now I wanna get my diameter here. So I'm going to do, oh, here it is. Here it is. It's already out there. This one I want to be at a 1/2 inch, so 0.5. Okay. I apologize, 1.5, not 0.5, 1.5. 1.5, there we go. And then over here on the end, this diameter, I want this to be, I think 1 inch, right? Yep. Click on that, 1 inch. Okay, there we go. That's 1 inch. Okay. Now, I need to get my overall length. So from one end to the other, it is going to be, I'm going to go back over here. I guess it's easier to look at underneath. So I've got an 8-inch dimension, and that's going to be from here to here. All right, so that means from my center out to that point, that's 4 inches. And then from here to here, the end point, that's going to be 5 inches. So let me go back to Creo. And I'm going to add those dimensions in. So I'm going to add this dimension from here to here. Oh, there it again. Try it again. Dimension from here to here, and then here. Okay, so this is going to be my 5 inches. And then the next dimension is going to be from this point to this point, that end point, and that one is going to be 4 inches, 1/2 8. Okay, now I believe I have everything in here that I need. Okay, and if I want to verify that, okay, I'm going to hit escape to get out of my dimension command. I'm going to go to feature requirements, and as long as I have all check marks, and there's more here than there was for extrude, and that's because of the revolve, I'm good to go. I'm good to go. So I'm going to go close, and that's going to be half my right side, if you would, of my revolve. So there it is. Looks good to me. Looks very good. So I'm going to say, okay. All right. Okay. So that's half of it. All right. Now what I can do is, with this selected right here, because this is the right side, I can mirror this to go on the left side. Okay. The left side. So I am going to have my Revolve 1 selected, and you'll notice that there's a command right here, and it's mirror. So I'm going to hit mirror, and it's going to recognize that I want to take that whole side that I just revolved, and I'm going to mirror it about, and this is where I want to define this. I want to mirror it about, and I'm using my middle mouse button to move around right now. I want to mirror about this plane right here, which is going to be the right plane. Okay, and then it gives me a little preview. So that looks cool. Yep, that's exactly what I want. And I can say, okay, all right. So here I am. I've got everything in place now. This is very cool. Very cool. All right, so this would be a good time to do my save. So I'm going to do a file. You can do a save as, right? Save as. Save as. Oh, that's right. No, I just want to do file save. That's right, because I've got the Axle. I'm thinking other programs. Files, just the save. Now, it's going to kind of verify. This is where you want it to be. It's going to fill in my file name. Just double check that your path here is in the working directory you want it to be in, and then you can hit OK. All right, so I'm saved. Again, I like to save at the point where I don't want to redo what I just did. Okay, and I think that's a good point right here. All right, not that it's hard to do, but you know, let's put the hole in the front here. All right, it's going to go all the way through. There's a 1/2-inch hole that goes all the way through, and it's right on the axis there. So what we're going to do is this one's going to be an extrude, and it's going to be an extrude cut. We're going to define. We're going to go on that front plane, and we're going to sketch. Okay. Now, the front plane is at the middle. I'm going to actually move this around just a little bit. Notice that when I do this, this front plane is actually going down the middle of the part, okay? And that's going to make a difference when I do my cut through, and we'll see why. But we're not on this surface out here. We're down the front plane. So I'm going to do my sketch plane again. Now I'm right on, but I'm kind of like sketching in the middle of that part, okay? So I'm going to do my circle. It's going to be at the origin here. I'm just going to draw a circle like this. Middle mouse button. Double click here, and it's going to be 0.5. Okay. Now, because it's identified right at that origin, it's fully defined. But to check, now that I have my value in here, I can do feature requirements. I am good to go. My green check mark, and now I'm going to be putting. Now, this is where I want to show you. I'm in the extrude command. It wants to go to the right, all right? And I want to verify. Pretty sure it's removing material. I think it is. Yes, it looks like it is. Now, how am I going to actually do this? Right now, it's set to a blind depth going to the right, if you would, as I'm looking at my screen here, of a 1/2 inch. I don't want it to be that. I actually want it to go from that center plane. Remember, I'm in the middle of the part. It needs to be asymmetrical. Okay, it needs to be asymmetrical. Now it's going to go in both directions, but I don't have the through all anymore. So I've got to put like a larger dimension, and it can be outside. You don't want to put 4 because that'll go right to it. And if that diameter changes at all, and you as the designer may have a good feel for how it may change. So I'm gonna make it. Now this is total width, and then it's going to evenly distribute on either side. I'm gonna say 5, okay? Only because, now notice it's out beyond the part is how far it goes. Here's that 5. So when I look here, it's going all the way through. My diameter is 4, okay? My diameter is 4, so it's well beyond, okay? Now, if you feel like this could change more as the designer, then you make it a larger number, okay? So anyway, so that's that. This looks good, so I'm okay. Got that in there. Cool. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, and I'm going to put it on the one side. It's going to be the keyway. All right. So if we look back at our problem, let me zoom in. Oh, just did it. There we go. It's giving you the details here for the keyway. All right. So the way that we're going to do it is how it looks there, and I'll kind of show you, because I think my demonstration will give you a little bit more insights on it. So I am going to go over to this side right here. All right. And what we're going to do is we are going to draw that keyway on the front plane again. We're going to evenly distribute it on both sides with a symmetrical, and then go from there. So let's go and do a extrude, okay? Because we're going to take that material away, and we're going to define where we're going to place it. It's going to be on the front view again, or the front plane, I should say, and then we're going to sketch, okay? So it made it for us. So now, because I'm on the front plane, I'm at the middle of, or like right in the middle of that part. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the project command. Okay, we've used this, I believe. I can't remember the exact part, but project means that I'm going to use geometry from a previous feature / sketch to help me with this one. And the reason I'm going to use project is because I need this line along here because I want to be on it. Okay, and I need this vertical line here at the very end, and then also the vertical line when it starts to, do the taper. Okay, so I'm going to project those three. So I'm going to hit the project button, and again, project is like, I want those features in my current sketch, even though they were created in a previous feature or sketch. Okay, so just these three right here. I'm going to zoom in here, 1, 2, 3, and then it does this single. I just want single, and I can hit close, and then I'm done with it. I'm done with the command. Now all I did was I took these three lines and now they're in my sketch. Okay, so I'm gonna go like this. Notice that they are on that front plane. They're right there, and now they're there for me to use. It's good practice to do that. That way you're not going over existing geometry. Okay, that's why. So I'm gonna get on my sketch plane again. Now what I'm gonna do is my keyway is defined there as being 1/8 of an inch deep, and then it's going to be 1/4 inch wide. So the 1/8 of an inch deep is the offset that we're going to have here from this line to the bottom of the keyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a line, and I'm just going to go a random depth like right here, and then I'm going to make sure, now notice that my constraint is parallel, and then I want it coincident over here. That way these two lines are parallel right there. I can middle mouse button to end. And then now what I want to do is I want to, it looks like I've got a dimension there. I didn't see it. This dimension, make sure that it's parallel. Sometimes it goes off of the end horizontal, and it's not the dimension we want. We want the depth along that taper. Okay, so make sure it's this dimension. Sometimes, like I said, mine don't do it correctly. Then I'm going to go like this. I'm going to say 0.125. Okay, now I'm not done yet. I've got these extra lines hanging out there. Okay, and notice, all right, that when I kind of unactivate it, it doesn't turn pink like it's a solid in the inside there, because there's these things that are overhung. So I'm going to delete the segments that I don't need, which are going to be these 4. Remember, it goes to like a center line or so. Now you'll notice that I should be good, and it filled in its pink color. Okay, and now when I go to feature requirements, everything's okay. Now again, by projecting it, it kept those lines the same, which were defined in a previous sketch and or feature. And I didn't have to say how long these lines were. All I had to do was define what that depth was. Okay. All right. So that's a nice little feature that we have here in Creo. If I'm looking at SolidWorks, SolidWorks lets me draw over the top, and it's fine. Okay. But here we actually use existing geometry from previous sketches. I don't know if one is necessarily better than the other, but it's just how Creo does it. Okay, it's just how Creo does it. If you didn't do that, you would have to define how long it was and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so now I'm ready to hit OK. All right, now it is going to be right now. You'll notice in the extrude command. And as I look here, notice that it's adding material. It's kind of confused, like, what do you really want to do? So I want to click on, first of all, remove material. All right, and so now you're going to notice it removed part of the material here. Oh, goodness. Let me get in the middle here. There we go. Okay, it's removing one side, and it's going all the way based on its depth. Okay, that's not what I want. I want it to go evenly on either side of that center line, or the front plane, and I want it to be a total of 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to change my blind depth to symmetrical again, and I'm going to change my value to 0.25. Okay, so now just to verify, when we look here, notice that the width here is 0.25. Now you can change it down here as well, or you can key it in up in the menu there. Now this looks good to me. This looks perfect to me, exactly what they want us to do. All right, so I'm going to say, okay, there we go, and it's in. And it's in. All right. Now, what you want to do is we want to put it on the other side. I played around with this earlier. I'm going to see if it works this time. And I had no real reason why it wouldn't, didn't work for me earlier, but I'm going to try to mirror that extrude that I just did. So what that requires me to do is to highlight that extrude, okay? And by highlighting it, this other menu comes up. It's kind of like a shortcut. Like, here are things that are available to you on this extrude. Notice that mirror pops up in here, so I can do it here as well, or I can go up to the top here. I'm going to just, hover over here. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to mirror that. Okay, so now what it wants me to do, it knows that the mirrored feature is right over here. Okay, so there's my mirrored feature. If I hover over this, notice that it highlights on the screen, so that's good. And now I need to define what my plane is, okay, my mirror plane. And my mirror plane is this one right here. It's going to be the right plane, okay? All right. Now, I am not sure why, but it fails on the mirror. I don't understand, but it does. And I'm not sure if it's something that's going on with how I'm doing it, because I've played with it and I don't know why. Here's the plane. And I thought, well, maybe if I start my session over and go back in, it'll be okay. But it's doing the very same thing. So no worries. Okay. I'm not going to worry about this. We're just going to work around it. I'm just going to hit cancel and say, I'm going to cancel that mirror. Yes. And all I would do then is I would go ahead and I would redraw it in that same format on the other side. Okay. I'm going to investigate that a little more. I feel like it should mirror over that, and it looks like it's totally fine, and for some reason it fails, and I just don't know why. I know in the past I've mirrored it. I don't know why it's not. I don't know. So I'm just going to kind of punt and say, go ahead and draw it on the other side if you need to, or try the mirror command. You might just have the luck with it. Okay, so that's where I'm going to leave that one. But otherwise, everything else is here. Are there any questions on this part 5.2? Any questions on 5.2? No. Okay, thank you. All right, so then what we're going to do is we are going to go to 5.4. Okay, we'll do that one. So that's going to be another one that we have going on. And what we want to do now, you could be like, okay, now I've got to X out of Creo, go back in, X out of the menus, blah, 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 and reset up my working directory. I'm going to show you how you can kind of go out of here without having to go through all that business, okay? So I'm going to, instead of, now you would obviously do your final, let's do that. Let's do our save of our final, what are we calling this? Taper axle. So it saved it for us, okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say File, and I'm going to say Close, okay? It's closing that file. So now if we go up to the top here, you're going to notice there's no file open anymore, all right? But I have to do a couple things. Remember, every time I save, Creo leaves copies. So first and foremost, as we learned, I think the last time we were together, we're going to do File, we're going to go to Manage File, and we're going to delete all the old versions, okay? So it's out of there. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, File, then go to Manage Session, and it leaves behind stuff, okay? And I'm not even exactly sure what it is, but you want to erase not displayed. So there's stuff in the background. And so notice that there's stuff here. So I'm going to say okay to that, all right? Now I didn't delete the part or anything. All I did was kind of clean up my session. So I didn't have to go back out and back in and then reset everything up. Now currently, this means that my working directory is still set up. So if I click on working directory down here, click on here, my path is still where I had it set up originally on the start of my session. So this is a way to save time when you're working on multiple parts, but to kind of clean up the environment before I start working, okay? So now I do have a fresh session, but I didn't have to go back and do all the stuff that I did when I opened up. Okay, so now let's look at our next problem underneath the screen here. And this is going to be, let me zoom out here a little bit. It's going to be right down here. This is the rod head 5.4, okay? Oh, one thing I do want to remind you of, sometimes there is design changes. So if we go back over here, they want to change the 4-inch to a 3.5. To go ahead and do that. It's good practice to do those changes, to go back and do that. If you have any questions doing that, let me know. I have full confidence in you that you know how to do that, but make sure that you do the design changes before you kind of do the final. Same thing down here. I think they have some design changes here as well after we do the initial drawing. Usually in my demos, I don't demonstrate those, but my expectation is that you're doing those, okay? All right, so we're gonna look at this rod head here, and what I'm gonna do is you'll notice that there is a cutout on the top here, but before we cut it out, I'm gonna make it a solid. I'm gonna revolve around. I'm gonna do the profile, okay? But I'm gonna make it, you know, solid and symmetrical just like we see here. So this 1 3/8 dimension is gonna be the full right side, okay? And then we're gonna have the collar as a full collar, all right? Because when we rotate, or when we revolve, I wanna go around and I wanna have that full part, and then I'm gonna do an extrude to get rid of this part, okay? So let's set up that way. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go to new. I'm gonna do a part, and this is gonna be my rod head, rod underscore head. Go. Okay, and we are gonna do a revolve. So I need to define. I'm gonna be on my front plane. That looks good. I am gonna do my center line right here, right here. I'm gonna zoom, 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 zoom in. Oopsie. Zoom, 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 zoom in. And I only do that because otherwise it's just too, sometimes it gets a little bit more complex to try to switch things around when the sizes are so different, okay? Do my line. Now, I am gonna start over on this side. I'm gonna make it, it's gonna be a solid, so it's gonna be like this, like that, up. Now, I don't wanna do equals here, okay? Because I don't want that to be controlled or to be tied to it. And I'm gonna go kind of a little bit wider here, but I am gonna go in line here because I want these two to be equal, in line, and then down. Chamfer I'm gonna add later, so I'm just squaring off these corners right now, and then I've got everything good here. Now this is still larger than what I need it to be, but it's at least closer in size. And now I wanna work around and I want to put my diameters in place here. So I'm going to start with this one on the left, and this needs to be 1.375. See, what's nice about SolidWorks, I will say this, once you do that first dimension, it kind of scales the whole drawing right away. You don't even really see anything change. Creo doesn't do that. Creo doesn't do that. So I think that's one definite nice thing that SolidWorks does. Then let's do this one. This is going to be the outside diameter around that collar, and that is 2.125. There we go. And then now my lengths are going to be the big deal. So this one, I believe, is 1.375. And then this one is going to be 1.125. There we go. And then finally, I'm going to do the overall, because we have to come back on the other one. We're going to do the overall. Escape. Overall length needs to be 5. Okay, so here is our part for the most part, right? Kind of get it in here. There are dimensions closer so that get in here. Okay, all right, so there's my profile that I believe I am ready to do my revolve. So I'm gonna go to my feature requirements, all looks good. Notice that I have a couple extra here because of the revolve. So all the way around, that's my solid part. Okay, now you might ask, why didn't you do that relief here? Well, the relief that's on the corner here, I'm actually gonna do it right now. I'm gonna add it in because sometimes that relief or that groove, based on its width and its depth can change. And so why not be independent with that as a separate feature? So I'm going to do another revolve, and it's going to be for that feature. I'm going to define. I'm going to be on my front, and I'm going to sketch here. And now I'm going to kind of zoom in right here. And I'm going to do that very same thing that I did on my last part. I'm going to project this edge right here and this edge right here. Okay? So I'm going to project first this one and that one. Okay, because I'm going to use those in my sketch as part of where these are like tied to, where that relief is tied to. And I'm going to hit close. And then I'm going to do my line, and I'm just going to start here and then over. Do not go over the top and over, because now these lines are here already. If I go over the top and over, you're going to get errors when you do your feature requirements. So make sure that you're not like lines on lines on lines. Okay. So you're just going to add these two lines here, and now I'm going to delete the segments that I don't need, okay, so that I'm left with that rectangle. And again, single lines when I'm done, okay? All right, all right. Oh, shoot. Oh, well, I'll see if this works. I might have done it in the wrong order. Oh, it worked. I have to add my center line first. Remember, I went in as a revolve, and I just started doing geometry. I jumped to my projection, and I'm okay. I'm glad. I was afraid that it would make me do my center line first, but it let me put it in after, because I'm like, where's my diameter? Okay, so here it is. I need this diameter to be 1.31. So that's good to know, right? You can put it in either order. And I need this width to be 0.125. Here we go. Okay, so that should be fully defined. It's got the pink. Let's double check. Sure enough, it's all good. Okay, and now it recognizes right away we're taking material away, right? If it doesn't, then you've got to toggle this on and off. And that looks great, 360 degrees. So we're going to say, okay, my relief is in there now. It looks great. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to put my cutout in to make that flat portion. So let's just kind of revisit the drawing, see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to cut this portion out right here. Okay, so this is going to be a depth of 0.5, or I shouldn't say depth. It's going to be from the center to 0.5 to the actual flat itself. And then it's going to be relieved back 3.03 in. Okay, now this is going to be an extrude on the front plane, and I'm going to go symmetrical in both directions to get rid of that material. So I'm going to do an extrude here. Going to be on the front plane. Okay, and then again, I'm going to, which ones am I going to project? Let me see. So we're going to project this line, okay, because we need that one. Come down. We're going to project this line and that line. Not the vertical line, because we're going to push that back, okay? Right, okay. I'm going to hit okay. So now what I'm going to add in is going to be from here, down below, over, okay? And then right mouse button, and then I'm going to come down. I've got to join these two together to make a closed loop of lines. Now remember, I can't go over the top of anything. Oopsie. All right, and those two are there. Now I'm going to go like this. I'm going to delete what I want to get rid of. Okay, and so I've got a closed loop here now for this. And notice that it turned that pinkish color because it is closed. So now what I want to do is I want to add the dimensions in from my drawing. So I need to add dimension from the center up to this point, and that's going to be 0.5. Then I need to add the dimension from my end point here to here, okay? And it's going to say, yeah, there's a constraint. I want that. I want to get rid of, wait. Oh, I want to get rid of this coincident. I want to get rid of that, delete that one, and delete that one. And then I'm okay. And I can do then 3.06. Add an extra line that I didn't need to. I think I did. Because now that's not what I want. Let me start over. I think I went a little too far with my lines. Okay. Let me undo. So we're here. Oh, I know what I did. I do want this, and this is the dimension that I want to be 3.06, right? Yes, that's the dimension I want to be there. But I might have, yeah. Oh no, I'm good. It's still there. It's coincident here. I want to do my features. I'm good to go. Good. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I went from here to here. That's already defined for us. I actually wanted my cut to go back to that point. So I apologize. I just dimensioned to the wrong part. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to redo that one more time because I don't want to confuse the issue. So I'm going to cancel this. We're going to go back into extrude, okay? Back into extrude, and I'm going to get rid of that part. I apologize. One more time. Define here. This is going to go smooth this time. I think I might have confused the issue and I didn't need to. So I am going to project just like I did the same surfaces. I can do this one. I don't think I did that one last time. Okay, so those surfaces right there are going to be part of what I'm going to use. And then I'm going to do my line. I'm going to start, don't grab the midpoint. Don't grab the midpoint. Go either on one side or the other. Here, I'm going to come down, over, and then end that. Now I want to get rid of the parts so that only this inner portion is left. So I'm going to delete this out of here. I'm going to delete out of there, this side, and then these two. And then there we go, it's closed. Okay, so now let's put this dimension up. This is tied already to the side of the part, and that's why it was giving me the error earlier, and I'm like, what do I want? This is the dimension I want to be 3.06. There we go. And then I need to add a dimension from the bottom to the center line, and I'm gonna go like that, and that's 0.5. Now remember, we are not in revolve mode. We are just like cutting through here. We're doing an extrude cut, if you would. Okay, an extrude cut. All right, so now here's my profile. It looks like I'm fully defined. I'll double check. Yes, I am. All right, and then I'm gonna hit OK. Now I need to move this around and notice that it's adding material. I don't want that. I want it to remove material, which is doing one side blindly. And I want this to be asymmetrical in both directions. And I want to make sure, notice that it's only going 1.811 and then it's leaving little bits, okay? I need this to be wide enough so that it's not going to leave little bits. So since that collar width is 2.125, I'm going to say 3 is going to be my number, okay? And it's very generous beyond, okay? Very generous beyond. So I can say, okay, I wish we could do a symmetrical through all, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that second level. It's kind of like 2 in 1. There we go. There's our cutout. Okay. And then really what I'm going to leave you with is going to be, let's go back over here because I am confident. I am super confident that you could finish this up with what's left. We've got the cutout on the top. We've got the relief in place. You've got to add chamfers to the ends and put the hole in. Okay, and you can do that off the flat from the top. Okay, so so that's all that's left, and then make sure that you do the design change that is here. Okay, so that that reflects in your finished part. Okay, any questions on that one? All right, so that's the first 2 of the 6 that we have going on, and as I'm going to stop there for right now. And then we'll continue on as, you know, the next time that we meet. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for right now, and I'm going to stop recording.